Hey everybody, I'm actually jumping on live right now. I'm just waiting for Brother Charlie. Let me see if I can get him up here. Let's see here. And we will get him added. Let's see. There he is. Let me invite him. For the check-in for this month, we're doing it a little bit earlier than normal, but that's okay. Life happens, and so hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. I'm just waiting to see who's going to be joining us today. So, got a couple things we want to kind of talk about. So, yeah, let's see what happens here. All right. Okay. Well, looks like we've got one person, and it looks like he is here. Okay, Chuck, I'm trying to see how I can add you in this case. Let's see. Did you accept the invitation, Chuck? That's the question. If you did, there we go. Just bring in. It's taking its time, but it's coming. There we go.
What?
Not that you have the whole background.
Well, this was supposed to be, my son and I, if you were to look, I have the lighting and I got the microphone.
I got your godson in the background making his breakfast. Okay. It's real professional over here. It's very professional.
I wanted to just try it out.
So. Wait. Come here, Joey. Just for people that have never seen you before. Come on, twin. If y'all don't think this is my twin, you better ask somebody.
Yeah. What's going on, Doc?
What's up,
SC in the place to be.
Oh, wait.
Look, fight on, brother. Fight on. Absolutely. All day. All right. So I see we've got some people that have already joined, so that's great. Let me just try to see who it is. Randy Flowers, you better come on here, Randy. I love it. Yeah, Randy is on. I love it, love it, love it. Good to see you. You know what, Randy, if you want to jump on, because I see that you're asking to join, let me add you. That'd be kind of fun. Let's do that before we get started real good. So let's add Brother Randy Flowers. 87. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. Come on, Randy. It's coming, brother. Is somebody else asking to you? Oh, no, that was you. Okay. I just want to make sure. I'm looking at all these people that are floating back and forth. It says it's adding Randy, so I'm just going to wait a minute just to see if it actually happens. But in the meanwhile, something that I wanted to talk about today. Talk a little bit about long-standing relationships. Something that is at the foundation of us and our relationship is how long have you known people? How long can you say that I'm friends with this person for XYZ number of years? To me, that's the bedrock of our relationship, is that we can stand on almost 50 years of having known one another. A lot of people can't say that. I think I was sharing with you earlier today that I had met a young lady that was in her 30s, around Stephen's age, that was saying, yeah, I've known my friend since like 6th grade. And even that in today's generation, younger generations, that's big, because normally, people don't know each other. We talk a lot about transiency and people, having come and gone and moved about, da 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 da. But the fact that they can say, yeah, I've known somebody for, 20 years or whatever it might be, that's a long time. But for us to sit back and say, we've known each other almost 50 years. Yeah. And it says a lot. And we're still here. We're still friends. And at what point, so this is one of the topics I wanted to cover, at what point do you go from just being friends to being family? Because somewhere along that road, you pray that the friendship transitions into something more. We're not just surface level friends like we were in high school. Now we're adult people that have gotten married and have had children, have moved about. There's a lot of things that can be said. So kind of what are your thoughts about that? And I'm going to look at one of the comments that we have.
I mean, well, I think it's a great topic. It's and a couple of things that you mentioned that, again, were definitely noteworthy. It's quantity, as you talk about the time, and quantity is something that you can't control. As long as we continue to live and the Lord allows us to be alive, then time will continue.
Absolutely.
But that's what we actually have the ability to control. So have both of them combined, it's unstoppable.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, to go back to what you said about the definition of, when do you transition from friend to family? I think that of time does speak, volumes, but the quality is really what you're assessing and really what you're speaking to. And that's a transition over from friend into family.
Absolutely. I guess with that being said, you and I have a lot of mutual friends. We have that pleasure of having almost feels like hundreds of mutual friends. Again, to this day, some that are still with us and some that aren't. But again, if I could sit back and say, I've known you since, in our case, I mean, our case is really rare, but if I could say I've known you since I was 12, let's just say junior high. Within that 6-year time span from 7th grade to 12th grade and all points in between, anything that happened thereafter, you're my family. Because again, we've been out of school as long as we've been out of school, high school. I knew you through the pivotal years. I've known you from the formative years, but I knew these people, this group of people, through the pivotal years, those teen years, preteen into teen years, that really helped me make some decisions in life, that helped me really form some really good decisions that enabled me to be where I am today and be able to do the things I do today. And I'm grateful that there are certain people that I know are that important to me to this day. Beyond the relationship I have with you. And again, let me say, if I didn't say it, I know that I didn't say it coming into this. Charlie and I do a monthly check-in. We do it with the masses monthly check-in on Facebook, but we talk all the time. So just understand that this is a very informal, just get together, chat, but we want to be able to have it where we're able to share this with you all and you all are able to join in on these conversations. So just know that this is again, very informal thing, but we do it on a monthly basis. So, so we call it the check-in. So yes, if you ever see that, it's us. But in the meanwhile, again, would you agree that it really, there's something about knowing that you've known, and I know you can call some names out. I'm not saying for you to call names out, but you could call some names out to certain people. Pull away, extend your circle out. Talk about not just your internal circle, and I know all those people. Let's go a little bit further out. Let's name a couple of names. Who are some people that you can say, you know what? I've known this person since 7th grade, or I've known this person since 10th grade, and here we are 40 years later, almost ish later, and I still have this relationship, and I still and they still mean something to me. Are you okay with naming a couple of names?
I guess I could. I mean, okay. I don't have the privilege like you have of having the yearbooks in front of you.
Don't get me started because I'm looking at them.
Exactly, and even going back to the class photos from the 2nd grade. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about, again, it's how can I put it? It flows, and again, I for example, I mean, Sam Lamar. I mean, I knew Sam Lamar since we were both probably 6 months, of age. The time you could really realize that there was somebody else other than you.
Yeah. Now let me ask you really quickly before you go into Sam. Did you guys always live next door to each other?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. I didn't realize that, but okay.
And then again, as time continues, and then I had the Street, Dana Donnell, David Mark. I mean, so the John Owens. So yeah, we grew up with the tribe. Again, you were across Pepper on the other side. And then, Greg Creighton and, Vince Harris. Vincent, Shannon and I, we were in kindergarten together. So we could actually talk about riding around on the little tricycles and having to take naps during kindergarten. So, again, it goes back, all the way back to that. And then, again, as you begin to move forward, you also get an opportunity to get to know other people, and whether it be through church or whether it be through sports, or just, again, going to school. And sometimes it was a combination of all three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, that's why I said go back to when you mentioned at the top of the conversation about the time frame, that does speak to the quantity. But you also mentioned about, again, just when did you transition from friend to family?
Yes.
That speaks to quality.
Mm-hmm.
And who I consider that I met in high school or even met in junior high, who I was playing against, that now I consider them family.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That I know and they know I got your back and you've got mine.
Absolutely. I know you and I were talking at one point about because you mentioned sports, which is something that I was on the other side. I was in the band.
The band, yeah, the
band. On the other side.
I didn't have
but
I didn't have no rhythm, so that's why I couldn't be in the band. But go ahead.
You still have no rhythm. But I'm not gonna bust you out because you ain't got no rhythm.
Okay.
I've known you long enough I can say that.
Yes.
You mentioned about being in a certain sport and how even if you had some rivalry within the sport, the one thing that brought you together, that galvanized you with these people, was that sport, y'all against the world. So the opposing team, even though you may have had funk with somebody on your team, I'm not going to let anybody do anything to you on that other side, because we are still a team. I don't care if I have issue with you personally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me speaks volumes. You could put aside the madness because you're not going to allow something to happen to, because he's still a teammate. They are still a part of what you're trying to do as a collective.
My brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even though I could have personal issues with you,
mm-hmm.
Today, you are still my brother. And brothers and sisters, in my case, you do argue. You don't always get along, but you're still mine. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll never forget that.
And right there, I mean, I'm glad you pointed that out, because right there, I think you spoke to the heart of your question when you said, when do friends become family?
Absolutely.
Because that's very reminiscent of how families operate.
Mm-hmm.
There are that don't get along, but you mess with one of them and you will see that group cohesion in a heartbeat. So yes, when do you transition from friends over to family?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Scully is here, just in case anybody wants to see him. There he is. Okay, get down, Scully. Thank you, baby. Again, this is how you know that this is very impromptu. Okay.
Yes.
Because you're going to see the dog running around, family running around, just for anybody that's paying attention. Well, and I would say one of the greatest things that I feel like has come out of this question is just knowing that I feel like I have like a tribe. That's the way to describe it. I consider a lot of people to be a part of my tribe. I'm very guarded and I mean, I'm willing to do anything for my tribe, but I feel like my tribe is extensive. Mm-hmm. I got a whole bunch of folks that I consider to be family. And again, it has a lot to do with the fact that if I've known you more than 4, 5, 6 years, whatever that is, especially knowing that this year you and I are going to be double nickel. We're going to be 55. I've known you all of these years. Anything above, like I said, 4 or 5 years, you're more than just a friend to me. Mm-hmm. If we're still rocking like that, you are definitely more than friends with me. You are definitely family to me. And so you're somebody that's very, very important for me to have around. I want you in my personal space. And I value you tremendously. Because I can't do this life without you, And I'm grateful that I can say that about a lot of people, lots of people. Hey, Demetrius Seeley, brother, I see you. Let me just acknowledge everybody that's on right now. I so appreciate it. Demetrius, I see you. I know we've got some other people that I'm trying to kind of go back through. Kevin Wright, brother, I see you. Look at all these Eisenhower folks. Nona, see you. Vicky Martinez, our sister. My brother David, Larry Duncan. Hey, brother, again. Thank y'all for coming and checking in with us. We so appreciate y'all. And for anybody that's wondering what we're talking about today, we are talking about long-standing relationships. So all of you that are on here, please make no mistake that you fall within the parameters of what we're talking about. Long-standing relationships. Omar Curry, what's going on, Omar? Where's Steve Daniels at? Got to get Steve Daniels in here. Somebody else we've known forever.
Yes.
So, and we could have a story with that all by itself if we needed to. Yes. So anyway, but again, so we're talking about long-standing relationships and how important they are. What do you value with people after all of these years? It can't just be, oh yeah, I remember them, or yeah, we used to do this or that or that or that. It's not just that. There's something that they're still bringing to you, and I'm just curious to see what people's perceptions are. So that's the topic that we're talking about today. So
I would love to hear from anybody else out there, who's watching, what theirs is. Please feel free to chime in.
Absolutely.
Basically, one of the fundamental things that kind of is the glue is trust.
Yes.
And it's whether it's any type of relationship. And so even as you talk about family, there might be family members who I haven't seen in many years, but once I see them, it's like no time has passed. So for me, that's another indicator to me of how I view somebody who's transitioned from just my friend into my.
Yeah.
So giving out the shout outs, I could see the sparkle in your eye as you're giving people the shout outs that, again, although we might not have spoken in a while, but just the sparkle alone says that friend into family.
Absolutely.
So I would hear from some other people, because for me it's trust.
Mm-hmm.
It's trust, and that's whether you're in business, whether it's leisure. It's trust is the key.
Absolutely.
That's the
absolutely. I do want to do a very special shout out to one of our loved ones, Chauncey, brother Chauncey. I see you on. I see you. I'm like, where is he sitting at in comparison to where you at? If anybody's wondering, that would be Charlie's son. Hey, Chauncey, good to see you, brother. All right. I see Sister Mia has joined. So yes, indeed. Demetrius, we're saying that it's so true. I see what you're saying, bro. And if you want to just chime in on anything, please let us know. We don't mind pulling anybody up, but as long as you understand that we do have to watch our language, apparently. So if anybody jumps on, you got to watch your language. But we would love to be able to interact with each of you. And thank you again for jumping on. I will say that I'm trying to recall, at what point did I start feeling like people weren't just friends anymore? And when you're talking about trust, that's big. Again, I use the word bedrock for a reason, because at the heart of it, you have to be able to trust people with whatever is going on with you, that they can either hold water, they won't tell you secrets, you know what I mean? They'll have your back, all of that to me is really trust related. I know that I can
finish that. Let me just, before you finish that, it goes both ways, because it's reciprocal. I have to know that about you, but you also need to know about me too.
Absolutely.
And it's a very, very thin existence, actually, because time, going back to your original thought when you talked about time, it could take time to develop these.
Sure.
One moment to destroy it.
Absolutely.
So again, giving credence to what you were saying, the fact that you still have that.
Yes.
All the countless opportunities that you had to do something intentionally or even unintentionally to destroy it, it was never.
Well, just the ideas of sabotage like that. I mean, I've seen people throw bombs in relationships, or even worse, perceived friendships. I mean, we can go with that. I have my own testimony to give about a very dear friend, and it's a shame that here I felt like I had a sisterhood with this person for many years, well over 20 years, only to find out, as my mother had been telling me all along, She is not your friend. But I was blinded and somewhat oblivious to the signs. I didn't want to see it. I didn't care about seeing it because I was her sister, but she wasn't mine. And that's a harsh lesson to learn. Harsh, harsh.
But does that speak to your personality? Because you and I, we're not going to go too deep,
Yes,
but we've had, and um, and I've shared with you about my perception of your personality, and one of the things that you have to, I guess, not guard against, but just be cognizant or aware of, is that everybody's not going to treat you the way you treat them. Everybody
absolutely.
go 100 for you the way you would go 100 for them,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we, as human beings, have a very hard time with that concept that we think other people, do unto others that you'd have them do unto you.
Mm-hmm.
You think that everybody is at the same level to do unto you, that you're at that level to do unto them. And they're,
Absolutely.
and if sometimes when you find that out, it can hurt. I mean, I'll be vulnerable. It can hurt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let me say this: your exact phrasing, which I've carried for, you probably told me that 20 years ago. It was a long time ago. I was seeking your counsel on something. Don't remember what it was. It may have been about the same person because we both know this person. But you said, but Tanya, you have to remember, although this phonetically is not correct, but Tanya, everybody ain't you. I will never, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'll never forget that. And that's meant something to me. So again, kudos to you in our friendship that I took that pearl of wisdom and I ran with it. It's a shame, but I really had to look at it and say, he's right. No one's going to do the things that I do. Harsh,
or you would do.
absolutely, absolutely. Harsh lesson, but it was one worth knowing and learning because it changed my perception of a lot of things. A great deal of growth had to come out of that. And the things that most people are seeing as believing. Well, I had to let those scales that we were talking about. At that point, the scales fell down from my eyes for me to be able to witness what really was going on. Harsh lesson. So,
And with that lesson comes grace too,
mm-hmm.
because things I've come to realize is that sometimes it's not because they don't want to, sometimes they can't.
Mm-hmm.
They can't give you what you would have given to them.
Right.
So, everybody has their own, I guess, resources.
Mm-hmm.
Not financial, I'm talking about emotional resources.
Absolutely.
So some can't, or they don't have it within them to give to you
Mm-hmm.
that you might to be able to give to other people.
Absolutely.
So there's a multitude of reasons why, but again, it does still hurt when you are saying that I know you have the resources, emotional, otherwise, but then I'm seeing that you're choosing not to.
Yes. Yes.
That's where the pill gets hard to swallow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, when grace is given by you and not given to you, tough.
Mm.
Yeah, it's tough.
Say that again. When grace is what?
Grace is given by you, but not always given to you. Yeah, that's the cold piece right there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
that's a drop the mic one right there. I mean, because it's so profound, but it's
mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that being said, so let's do a real quick check-in. Let's see who's still on with us, brother. I see Demetrius Sealy. I know people are kind of coming back and forth, and I don't mind that at all. So I'm just trying to check and see who's kind of the comings and goings here. And I know people are going to listen to this after the fact. And again, just a reminder, this is our what we call a check-in. And you know what? I'm not going to explain it. I love for Brother Red to explain it. So Charlie, take it away.
Wow. I'm much more simpler than that. Basically, and we all have them. We all have people who we feel comfortable in talking to and having conversations with. All this is doing is just allowing those people who we know to really be a fly on the wall with some of our conversations. Now, we have to be mindful of the audience, and so maybe some of the topics that we cover, and that's why we solicit, feedback from, people who are watching. But all it really is basically being a fly on the wall. That's all. That's the check-in.
to check in.
That's
That
chicken.
was more simplistic.
Simple.
Fair enough.
Simple.
Well, and let's you and I, because we could speak mano a mano on this. Let's talk about our relationship. We've already covered how we met each other. If y'all hadn't heard the story, go back and listen to the podcast. I hate to call it podcast. Sorry. Listen to the check-in last month, a couple weeks ago. Too long of a story about Charlie picking Scarlett over me. Just, I'm not bitter. It's okay. Like I said, who's still here? Whatever. But let's talk about our relationship, because it's something that we can speak on, and we can speak to whatever degree, because technically I don't feel like there's much to be said. To be honest with you, there's nothing illicit to be said about this relationship. It really, to me, is based upon upbringing, mutual upbringing, understanding of parents and situations being very, very similar. And I can't speak for you, and I don't know if I've ever asked you, but I know that I've said to you as early as today, I look at you in such the way because of XYZ. Okay. I looked at you as a brother early on, not to say that, how kids are, da 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 da. Not to say that, at some point I wasn't like, all these guys that I go to school with are cute. And even though I didn't say that about you, and I know that's not a knock to you, or even vice versa. Okay. But I had already looked at you as my brother. I'm like, that's my guy, because I get him. I get his upbringing. I get his background. It's very similar to mine. So again, he's a part of my tribe very early on. Okay. Now, that being said, let's talk about our relationship. Again, understanding that there's nothing nefarious or anything crazy, or, we're not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, we were boyfriend, girl, but we ain't never been like that. Never even thought about that. Well, let me preface by saying, is Chauncey still on? Chauncey, just know, I kicked you down on the cheek in second grade. I snuck
I don't remember
one in just so that way he would know why he was picking Scarlett.
that.
He picked wrong. Should have picked me, because I would be here 50 years later. Anyway. But let's talk about our relationship, and just how have we stood the test of time. I am curious, how have we been here this long? What do you think?
I think foundation.
Okay.
For. I think in addition to that, there have been other things that helped us grow in terms of our faith. And so we're able to talk about or have conversations about our faith as well. You've actually helped renew mine in terms of faith, because I see how you walk. So that's inspired me to even say, wait a second, I have this foundation. Why am I not running that? The other thing that's been beneficial to me, because again, it's WIFM. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
The other thing basically has been in it for me is again, very rare that you have a person, and I think that's what makes this dynamic so very, very strong, is that I can go to you and ask from a female's perspective about things.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I understand a lot of what's going on in terms of even how, women think, etc. And because I always had those things to bounce off of you, and you were going to give me a completely trustworthy answer. You were going to tell me if I was wrong, and you were going to tell me if you agreed. So I didn't have to ever worry about if there was any type of, hidden agenda. So I was able to get the truth. And that's what I'm saying, that builds that trust.
Yeah.
But that's actually been one of the biggest things that's been very definitely beneficial to me. That, because again, everybody has blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about that all the time. We don't have the answers to everything. And so you have that person who can actually say, wait a second, have you thought about this? That's been definitely beneficial. So for me, it's just grown because of that. Pull other people into it, and again, have these conversations. And so yeah, that's why it's still alive and well and strong today, in my opinion.
Would you say that, just to bring in some other people within your inner circle, do you feel like that's the case with a lot of your friends, the other brothers, other sisters, whatever the case? That's kind of
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's a how can I put that? There's an unspoken bond. Like I, tell people even in the world of work, being in a leadership position,
Mm-hmm.
if I have to walk around and tell everybody title, I've already lost.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing in terms of the friendship. And like you said, going to the earlier statement, how do you know you've crossed over from friend into family is that it's already unspoken.
Mm-hmm.
It's already there's an unspoken bond, unspoken trust, whether it means the things that we've done together, the things that I know about,
Mm-hmm.
and again, disclose the things that they know about me and never disclosed. So it's unspoken. It's hard to describe,
Mm-hmm.
articulate, but it's something that really is really not articulatable,
Mm-hmm.
or it isn't,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't fake it,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
you can't fake it very long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good morning to the people that just checked in. Hey, Terry Lynn, I see you, my love. Misha, Washington, where's Mouse at, by the way? Anyway, one of our old school friends. My brother Cruz, Crucito, I see you, brother. I'll see you at church tomorrow. Lori, I see you too. I just saw you last week at Church Love, so good to see you. Good to have all of you check in with us today. Again, this is just our monthly check-in conversation where we like to be able to cover, topics. There's no rhyme or reason to it other than we just really want to just get together and just check in with not just each other, as in Charlie and I, but also with you, all of you. So, no, I agree. When you were talking, my mind was saying there's no gatekeeping when it comes to relationship, not real relationship, not real family. Hey, Misha, I see you. You still ain't told us where Mouse is at. We waiting. Look, we are waiting for the mouse. But there's no real gatekeeping when it comes to that. When it's a real relationship, not again, it's because it's ascended above friendship. It's ascended from friendship into family, which to me is the real heart of relationship. So there's no gatekeeping when it comes to that. You want to see your family do well. You want to support them at all costs. So what would I look like not sharing information with you? You asked me if I have the information, I'm going to give it to you. And how would I give it to you anything less than straight?
Mm-hmm.
If you come to me asking for advice or asking for this or that, I mean, you thought enough of me to ask because you surely didn't have to ask me. Appreciate it. So let me make sure that I'm able to give you, at least my 2 cents worth, and you could do with that whatever you choose to. But I hope it benefits you, and it's not a hindrance to you. So absolutely, absolutely. So
I guess you can speak the unspoken because, like I said, I guess I stand corrected because pretty much a situation that's unspoken, but you were able to speak it. So not unspoken. But for me, again, you take things as they are, and you just go from there, and you hope and pray for the best.
Yeah.
And that best is materialized.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, and I'm going to reach back out to those that are actually watching in this moment. What are your thoughts? We're discussing long or lifelong friendships, which is something that I think a lot of us have the fortune of being able to talk about. I really hope that as you're sitting and you're watching, and if you want to interact with us, if you're live with us right now, what are your thoughts about it? I think a lot of people that are joining, and Charlie and I talked about this before we jumped on. One of the reasons why a lot of you are joining is not because you've known us within the past couple of years, that you've known us for some period of time, and you really want to just kind of see what's going on with that person. I mean, you could check our Facebook and you can see that we post here or there, but to see us live, not Memorex, but live, to be able to see us talking, eating, sleeping, breathing, right.
Ashy hands and all, yeah.
You did say you washed your hands before we jumped on here, so that's fine. But to be able to see us and to now have conversation with us, dialogue with us, I think that's one of the things. You obviously see that we're live, so you're like, hey, what are they in there talking about? Let me see what's going on with them. That to us is very important, but we would like to see what your interaction is. Brother Demetrius, what you got on here? You said you just got off work. Okay, well, brother, we appreciate you. Love you too. Absolutely. Always good to see you. Sister Terry Lynn, what are you sitting down here saying, sis? You said advice has to be received. Absolutely. I'm trying to see if I can click on the message here. Give me a second, sis. I want to be able to see. You said advice has to be received if it is asked for. I mean, that is powerful, sis. If it is asked for. No one wants unsolicited advice.
I like that.
Absolutely not. I do too. I do too. Absolutely. So, um, okay. So, what about relationships that have gone south? Let's talk a little bit more about that. Um, relationships that you never could have imagined, just all of a sudden, just up and went, and here you're looking and saying, okay, what happened? You didn't see it coming. What did I do? Did something happen, or how do you kind of process it? What do you what do you sit back and say, man, I've known this person since I was in first grade, and now it's done. What do I do? What's life like now?
I can't really even speak. Well,
Mm.
there's really, I guess I could speak on it because there's really such, and I don't know if it's gone south or not. But one of the things I've come to realize in getting older, which you can see definitely in doing that, is that sometimes that the relationship could go south and you're not even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who still want to be the gatekeeper. There are people who still might sabotage. There are people who flat out lie. So if you don't have that, if your relationship with that person is not stable to begin with, it's easy to say, Tanya, Charlie was talking about your dad. I never said anything.
Yeah.
But very, very, it can be believable. And so sometimes those can cause those relationships to go south. But for the most part, I don't really have any that I know of. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe I have a blind spot. Maybe somebody's out there saying, I can't stand this, and I don't know it. I just don't know it. Because everybody's not going to like you. But I'm not aware of it. The only one I could pretty much say that into recent remembrance is Solomon Anderson. Solomon Anderson is real cool. And I've sent him a couple Facebook requests. He never responded. He's Facebook friends with other people. And he lives right up the street, basically in Atlanta. So I'm like, did somebody say that I said something about, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I really can't really, other than him, I really can't really speak on a friendship or relationship going south.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I see we have Maurice Small that just joined us. Hey, what's going on, Mo? Terry Lynn, let me see what you said here, sis. I'm trying to see if I can read all the comments. You said friendships are so important for us all as they help us through the joys of life and the hardest times of life as well. Well said, sis. Absolutely. Well said. And agreed upon. But you have to recognize, as I said a little bit earlier, you have to know who your friends are, who are not your friends. Just because you're telling me you're my friend and you're giving off an impression that you are, you technically could be trying to sabotage me behind my back. Happens a lot, happens all day, every day. And I wouldn't be any more the aware or for the worse to have known until it's too late.
And those are the risks that we run as just human beings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We all have our issues. Sometimes people's issues become other people's issues.
Absolutely.
But like I said, if your friendship or relationship is strong, at least if somebody said that to me, I would have at least the opportunity to go back to you and say, Tanya, this is what I heard. I won't even tell you who said it, but this is what I said, and give you the opportunity to say, yeah, I said that about you, or no, I would never say that. And hopefully it got to a point that if people do hear it, they know you well enough that doesn't even sound like Tanya.
Yeah. So in other words, you depending upon the what was said, you, like you said, you know me well enough that you wouldn't even question. You wouldn't even take the time to question. So when I say that you chose Scarlett,
I did. I did. I sure did.
Look how well that worked out. I promise you, folks. For those of y'all that have known us for a long time, I swear to you, I am not bitter. but it's a sticking point to me because I like to tease him about it because it's funny to me. Only because I'm still here.
They would have to know Scarlett too, because Scarlett was a whole foot taller than me in the 2nd grade. So
He still is.
It still is. But I don't bring up Sam,
What about him?
because Sam chose you, and I'm not gonna go against my brother.
Lies.
That's my brother. I'm not going. I mean, it was. We were known as Sam and Charlie. It was like a dynamic duo. Like Batman and Robin. So, hey,
How come Shannon would have been in the room? Shannon Moore, if you were ever around and listen to this, if you would have been in the room, Shannon, I want to know who you would have picked. Actually, you know what? Vince. I know you're going to listen to this. Vince, Elgin, Greg.
Yeah.
If y'all had been in the room, who would y'all have picked? I bet I'd have had more votes. Just saying. Just saying. Not that you're looking around. Terrible, terrible. Such a juvenile thought process, but it's still funny. Again, like I said, forgive us, y'all, but we go back 50 years. So just pay no attention to any of this. All right, Mo, where you going, brother? Oh, it's time for. Oh, it must be nice weather. He said he's going to tee off. All right, now, Mo, come back and join us, bro. We do this once a month. Come back and join us because we definitely want to make sure that we pull people up. Misha, what are you saying here, love? Let me see what your comment is.
Yeah, Mo's a golfer. There are some of us who play golf. Maurice is a golfer, so I heard about him. So yeah, he's a golfer. So yeah.
Okay. Our sister Misha said that she's had to put people on vacation for seasons due to misuse and minimalization or minimalizing. I'm sorry. She said she realized for decades that she's been their friend, but they never reciprocated the quality friendships. Misha, that's powerful. That is so powerful because that's what we're sitting here talking about. People that you perceive as your friend that ultimately you find out after the fact they're really not. They're absolutely not. And that's terrible. And here you've invested all this time only to find out, it's a misnomer.
I like that. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to steal that one. Vacation. I like that.
Come on now. For seasons, she said. Seasons. Come on. But here's the question, Misha, and let me know, sis, if you want to come up on camera, because I actually have a question for you. Depends on how you want to answer it. If you want to answer it here in the chat, if you want to answer it live. At what point does the vacation end? Oh. Is it a permanent vacation? Or is there an end point? So when do you decide? Because it has to be you, the one, right, that has made the reservations. Their bags are packed. You made the reservation, and you shipped them off to this island. When do you pick them back up is my question. So let me know how you'd like to answer that. And for anybody else that's listening, same question. If you feel like you had to kind of put people on the block, put them on ice for a little while because they're just not doing, it's really more to your detriment than it is anything else. But at what point do you allow them to kind of come back in, or do you? So let's have that as a topic as well. And Chuck, I don't know if you've been in that situation before. Have you kind of had to put somebody on pause for a little bit and then you come back and pick them up later, or ever had to do that before? No. Well, lucky you. Just a likable kind of guy.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying, I haven't had to, but I can't say that other people haven't done that to me.
Absolutely. So Misha will join us, love. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her up. Misha Washington gonna join us on the live. Look,
I know Misha on you. I knew Misha when
there she be. Hey, now.
Good morning.
Yeah, I know Misha when Misha was 6. So I've known Misha longer than you, Tanya.
Okay, you ain't had to say it all like that. I'm gonna keep asking you where Mouse is at.
You know what? Y'all guess is as good as mine. He's, he out there either on the road or he at home. But I check in usually about afternoon with him.
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick. He don't know it yet because Vince just jumped on. I'm adding you, Vince. If you see in this, you're not slick, Vinny. Turn the camera on. We want to.
I'm just a quiet observer.
Oh Lord, Vinny. Okay, Sister Carrie, let me see you. Be blessed, love, to your church. So okay, Misha. So I was asking you because you made a great point about putting people on vacation. Is that permanent, or is there a return ticket back?
Okay, I'm not because I grew up, because of how we grew up, where your friends either became family or they moved on. I don't like getting rid. Well, I'm quick to get rid of. I'm part my dad, Charlie. I'm quick to get rid of some folk when they ain't acting right. I'll just put you off. And then for a long time, my friends were like, "You quick to kick people off because I don't like that. I got enough within my family. Why do I want outside influences treat me that way?" But they did have a point, you know. So what I done was I went on this thing called vacation, where I have to separate myself at a point from everybody, and then you reevaluate the reason and the season people are in your life. Some people stay out for longer periods than others. Some people, it's like growth. They either stifle your growth or they're not feeding into, like let's put it this way. I've went to about every one of my friends' baby showers, and I feed into them everything they did. I was there, brought a gift. Ask me how many of my niece's graduations, baby showers they've been to and brought a gift. Ask me how many times I've graduated from Valley College. Yes, a lot. But they've never came to nothing. They never came to nothing.
Well, I'm
you know,
remind you, I'm gonna remind you what Chuck
me.
said. Chuck told me, and I said it early on. It was probably before you joined, and he said it to me. It was profound. So hopefully it brings something to you as well, Tanya. And again, it's not phonetically correct because we're all college grads. Everybody ain't you, Tanya. Everyone's not gonna pour into you the way you pour into them. And my feelings were hurt behind it, but he was so true. Everybody's not like me. Everybody's not like.
And I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree. But at some point, even Charlie, at some point, if I could come on Facebook and congratulate you for something you do, and I can't, let's say I can't afford to go out to where you at, to go to your big parties or whatever. I could get on Facebook and click a like, say, "Hey, Ton, congratulations on your son," who I probably never met, but, I'm still happy for you. You can't pick up the phone and you on Riverside Avenue. You can't. I'm in Redlands and you on Riverside Avenue. But I can watch you on Facebook talk about how you went to Arizona to go visit a friend. I can watch, or I can, you can come tell me. I don't say nothing, and I don't say nothing when you do it, but I'm hurt. So at a point in time, I gotta say, maybe I need to step back. It ain't always you. Vacations don't mean it's always that person. It could be me. It could be me.
Yeah, that's probably.
And so let me step back for a while, reevaluate where I'm at and what I'm doing and why we're friends and what we've been holding on for. And then either reconnect, have that discussion, which I've had with friends, that look, we've been friends for 25 years and I got to get this off my chest. Or we've been friends so long and I feel like I've actually said I haven't invested enough time and quality time with you. So transportation is an issue for me, so I do what's called a ride along. I got a friend, she works as a nurse at night, and she's like, you know what, I'm scared when I come home, driving because of the freeway. So she calls me when she get off of work, and I talk to her all the way till she gets home. Me and her have that time. And it's every night that she works. I don't have a problem with it. But if that's what we got to do you know what I mean? She knows she can rely on me.
Absolutely.
So it's not always the person. It could be me sometimes. And it's not always for long periods of time. But then again, I can give somebody 90 days and then come back and they still starting the same minimalizing, like, oh, you should be this. You should have a PhD by now. You've been doing. I got to put you on another 90.
Girl, that sounds like a point.
And another 90. To the point they forget me. I got ADHD. Look, I found out as an adult late, I got ADHD. I'll forget you, then you gone. I'll forget you there. I'll forget you gone. Okay, so be mad at me. I done forgot about you already. You know,
performance improvement plan all day longer, or a layaway plan. You can't be putting folks on layaway like that.
okay.
Yes, Lord.
One, again, to chime in, one thing I is that you're aware of it, and you wasn't always them. You also said, maybe I need to take a look at myself as well, and that's where a lot of people have that ability to do. Thank you very much for chiming in. Thank you.
Not a problem. You guys have a good one.
Sis, good to see you, honey. Absolutely. So, Vincent, hey, you better don't start calling you your government name, Dwayne. Okay. So we're talking about lifelong relationships. The three of us can have this conversation until the cows come home, because we are the definition of that. Y'all do something for me. And I actually just called your name a few minutes ago. I said, because Charlie decided to pick Scarlett, and Sam chose me in second grade, Mr. Party class, that had you been there, or had Greg been there, and Shannon been there, Fulton been there, I probably would have had some more votes. So, Vince, as you answer this question, make sure you answer right. Yeah. Talk about lifelong relationships. What are kind of your thoughts about it? Have you experienced in the almost 50 years that we've known you, any occasion where you feel like friends have remained friends and they've not ascended to family? Because after you've known someone after a period of time, you would hope that they're value added in your life, and that you don't just look at them at a surface level as just your friend. They're not an acquaintance. They're like family to you. You know them. So what are your thoughts?
Friendship ain't based on time to me.
Here he goes being pro.
Like, I got friends who, like Charlie, who I known before I can remember, right? And we go years without speaking, but that's still Chuck. Like, regardless of how much time we don't spend together, I know that that's like more than my friend. That's we go so far back. I can't remember how far back we go.
That's beautiful.
You know, so I don't put a time stamp on my friendship. You know, I got a lot of acquaintances. I probably got maybe 20 friends, like people who, you know, and I tell you, my friend, if I can sit with you and not talk, we can just sit together and just be in each other's presence, and we ain't got to talk and we ain't got to get profound. We can just be in each other's presence. That's a friend to me.
Absolutely. But let me go back to the question, Vince, because I mean, y'all know this already. When I say y'all, for anybody that's still listening, there's a core group of these men that I have known so long and that are brothers. I'm not saying that I don't against my friends, but there's a core group again I've known since I was 6 that are
Morgan Mafia.
brothers. And these two on here are my brothers, along with but I'm asking you, Vince, do you feel like there's an ascension from being a friend to being family? You know what I mean? When my father passed away, God rest his soul, I knew I can get on the phone, I can call Chuck, I can call you, or vice versa, and I know y'all's gonna be there for me. Y'all's gonna be there for me, and you would have a word for me because y'all understood it. And I'm
grateful
for that. I'm grateful. That's not just friends.
No.
That's not you being my friend who I've known for a long time that's just trying to be sympathetic to myself. No. You held me down, friend. So that's not just friend anymore. Y'all like my family. So that's what I'm asking you, Vince. Do you have an occasion to feel like these people that you're talking about, that I can be in your presence and I don't have to say a word? We could just be there and we could look at each other and just start laughing. I can look at Chuck and laugh because he's funny looking at me. But yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it. Though.
He deserves that because he picked Scarlett. But I'm just saying, is there anyone like that in your life? Now, I could think of somebody you might say that about, but you understand what I'm wanting to come from you.
Yeah, well, like I said, Greg is that for me. I remember at my mother's funeral, Greg is supposed to be a pallbearer, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we were like 21 at the time, so we were not reliable as people. So Greg wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So I left the funeral early. I couldn't take it. So I went outside, and I don't know how I saw him, but he was parked down the street from the funeral. Mm-hmm. And I could see him. We made eye contact the second I stepped out of that church. And I could see he was crying. And the closer I got to him, the more I could see him crying. And I started crying. And we didn't say nothing. He tried to apologize. Like, I don't care if you don't come, to a funeral. It's not going to make us or break us. But we felt something, unspoken in that moment. So that's how I look at it. Like if I gotta know it, I can't question. Like I don't question y'all. If you guys, what your motives are or whatever, if y'all tell me we doing this on this day, if I'm available, I'm gonna do it because I don't question. That's what family is to me. I got family members who I question all the time. I got blood relatives who I question first. Mm-hmm. Why are you doing this? Why? What do you want me for? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if we have that, assurance about each other, then we family. Me, I'm good. Whatever you need from me, if I can provide it, I'm there.
Absolutely. What you think about that, Brother Red?
Again, another drop the mic moment. And he shared the story before with me, so I knew it was coming. And again, for him to repeat it again, that just, that's why I was saying before at the very top of the conversation that yes, if you have both of them, that you have the longevity with respect to time, mm-hmm. you also have the quality, and quality could be 2 weeks, quality could be 50 years. But if you actually are fortunate enough to have both of them, and again, trying to articulate that it takes a lifetime for these relationships to develop, seconds to destroy them. So over a period of time, using time as a context, if over a period of time you still have not destroyed that, then that's family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's when the bond is solidified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unbreakable. Yeah. So the beautiful thing about it is, triangular, like the three of us are on here. So to hear Vinny talk about Greg like that, because that's how I feel the same way about Greg. And I still feel the same way about Vinny. And if I were talking to Greg would say, I feel the same way about Vinny. So when you actually have that, that triangular relationship, and I'm not throwing up the Illuminati sign or nothing for anybody who's watching, but when you have that triangular relationship, and the triangle actually it's a very strong foundation because you can turn it any way.
Yeah.
But if you have that type of triangular relationship, so hear him talk about Greg that way, and he's pretty much describing the same Greg I know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We talked, I think, last month, about our upbringing, obviously. I mean, we can go on and on and on about Rialtos like Mayberry and da-da-da-da-da-da. But there's something about that particular decade of the 70s. I won't even get the 70s from our youth.
Yeah.
From our
that place at that time was something was in the air, something was in the water.
Absolutely.
We know that's what the families was different back then. Like I see my kid, like my son's, he got friends, but he ain't got friends like I got friends.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like My kids just say all the time, "Why are you guys together all the time? Why do you spend so much time with you?" I don't know. We just gravitate towards each other. That's just what it is. That's what friendship is. Now, in this day and age where everything is swipe left or swipe right, or like this picture or don't like that picture, you don't develop. You don't develop those bonds. You don't develop. You don't develop that kind of thing. Everything is transactional. What can you do for me? What am I getting out of this relationship? If I'm not getting anything, then there's no point in it. And that's the opposite of what we have.
So for anyone that was wondering, especially those that go back with us 40 years, the Vincent that you knew then, here he is, y'all. He wasn't showing y'all this, but here he is, brilliant. Anyway, keep going. Go ahead, brother.
Hold on, though. We're not going to do that brilliant stuff right now. That's the problem. I'm the same guy I was when I was 15. Now, some people think that's good, but a lot of people don't think that's good because I'll be 55 in 3 weeks. So I still, I'm still the same silly guy that I was when I was 15. Not a whole lot has changed.
Welcome to Double Nickel. You beat me in Chuck there. So
Just saying that sounds crazy to me.
Double Nickel.
I never thought about being 50 until I turned 49, and I'm like, damn, I'll be 50.
Absolutely. I see my loved one is on. What's going on, D? My brother Dane just joined. I think you're still in Vegas. So type in the chat, brother, if you're still in Vegas. Or if you want to jump on, let me know. I'll go ahead and bring you up. Again, I mean, but that's profound, Vince. Me personally, I've said it to y'all. I've said it to you individually. I could say it to the masses because that's genuinely how I feel. The fact that I could say I've known somebody 50 years, I'm getting ready to be 55. I don't know a lot of people that can say that. So it means something to me. And knowing that, how you all are, you all have been the same people. You just said it a minute ago, Vince, since 15. I know you longer than that.
Yeah.
Again, just blow him up for a second. Tetherball King right here. I'm saying, I'm walking away. Okay.
Here we go.
But
I'm legendary in something that don't mean shit. I am a legend in something that doesn't mean anything.
But no, in all honesty and sincerity, just knowing you all this long a period of time, I mean, how could I not look at you as anything other than my fam bam? Y'all are it. I've known you. You said it already. I feel like I've known you for as long as I can't remember. I don't even know. It's just I don't know a time when I didn't know you.
Yeah. And I didn't have family in California. I had like a couple cousins. But most of my family was in the South. So
let's not go there. We had that conversation all day. So you, well, at least you had some older siblings. I know I had Dane, and again, I love my brother. But the reality is, me, you, Chuck, we didn't have a whole bunch of family running around. And as Charlie was saying to me earlier, we were lone wolves.
Yeah.
Lone. You take a minute to acknowledge our sister Nikki Mitchell. Hey, beautiful girl. If you want to jump on camera, we would love to have you jump on and join in with us. We're talking about lifelong friendships and kind of what that means. So please jump into the conversation. We'd love to have you on. But the fact that we didn't have just our immediate family was there. We didn't have the extended family, cousins, aunties, uncles, that made life a little bit different for us. So my on y'all, what is based upon, not largely in part, but a portion of that, because I didn't have a lot of my extended family around. So I could lean in on y'all as my family. And I'm grateful for that. I'm appreciative of that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Absolutely. So.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't realize that until you get this age where you really start reflecting on your life and what you've done and the people that have been in your life. Like, I should have been more successful, like, in my life. But I'm rich in my relationships.
Amen.
I'm rich in my friendships. I'm rich in my experiences. Now, I should have went to school more. I should have went to class more than I did, probably. But in them other areas of my life, I'm rich. I'm beyond blessed in them other areas of my life.
Amen.
So
amen.
I make up for that,
Sister Nikki, I see you had a response. She just said, hey. She said she's washing her daughter's hair, so she's listening for today. I know you're gonna come back because I know you were saying, "How did I miss y'all last month?" Well, trust me, sister. Look, we want you to come up, and we want you to enlighten us. So when you have an opportunity, make sure that you do that with us. And again, I see my sister Betta from church. Betta, I will see you tomorrow, sister. Good to see you.
J
So who's
J
who?
Dog is
Who you
Bobby.
shout
Oh
out?
my man, yeah, you didn't. Hey, I spoke him up. And Vinny, going back to it, we go back to kindergarten and taking naps and riding
Absolutely.
on the
Absolutely.
back. I mentioned, I said
We
Vinny and Shannon.
go back to when Morgan was white,
Yes.
like extremely, extremely white.
Well, we'll leave that what it is. Yeah, 'cause, you know.
I'm just saying it was a different time. It was so that made me gravitate. I remember first grade. I met Shannon and Charlie walking in the first grade. I like these are my boys right here. Day one, I knew it.
Well, speaking of Shannon, I just added him. Shannon, you better come on this live, Shannon Moore. Look, you don't have to turn the camera on, Shannon. Just come on, just look like Vince.
Next time I'm gonna shave and put on a clean shirt so I can be on the camera with y'all. It's Saturday, yeah. It's Saturday. I'm supposed to be doing the yard right now. So y'all just my excuse to get out of cutting the grass.
Terrible, 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 terrible. No judgment zone here, Vinny. You know we love you.
I know,
Yes,
but
yes, Lord. Yeah, it's funny, Shannon. It's funny you even joined because we were just talking about you not too long ago. So it was all good stuff. I promise, it was good stuff, and it's always good to see you, brother. I love the idea that we can talk about Rialto so fondly. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
No, I mean, this is probably in line with what you said. I just kind of want to piggyback on Vinny's comment.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably one of the reasons why we're so well versed.
Absolutely.
You have, especially down here in the South, everything is black or white. We didn't have that.
No.
We had everybody, black, brown.
Yeah.
So I'm just as comfortable, like I said, with my brown brothers and sisters as I am my white brothers and
Absolutely.
sisters, black brothers and sisters. So when you start talking about looking beyond color, we were able to talk about color because we're so transparent. Whereas a lot of people can't talk about these things because they have a hidden agenda or they may feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, or they're intimidated, you know. Like I don't speak the language good enough. I'm not versed. I don't know these words that these people use. I never had any of that. Like I went to Morgan Elementary where, you know, I had old white lady teachers. They don't have that anymore.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They don't have old teachers who got experience and know how to recognize your talents when you don't even recognize them.
Now hold on, Ben.
I think about Mr. Bilsing, my third grade teacher. I think about him all the time. He was the greatest man, one of the greatest men I ever met in my life.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
He had no idea
yes.
what he did for me
yes.
in my life.
Yes. Yes. Up until recently, he was one of my security questions. You know, who's your favorite teacher? Mr. Bill. I mean, yeah, that's so again, it's funny that, you know, we're having this conversation. And as Benny talked about earlier about his sentiment towards Greg being the same as mine, his also, again, his experience with Mr. Bilsing being the same as mine.
Yes.
So that's what I'm talking about. We had very similar experiences growing up that allowed us to be who we are. So therefore, we can have conversations that other people might not feel comfortable in having because we were exposed.
Yeah. Yeah. Very similar parents, very, you know, similar upbringing. You know, we had the burden of expectations on us. You know, a lot of people don't have expectations of them.
Absolutely.
But we were expected to do right. We were expected to do good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was no prize for doing good.
Mm-hmm.
We just were expected to do good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our sister Nikki was saying that Preston Elementary was a solid foundation. You know, the three of us, Nikki, we went to Morgan Mustangs, but again, just Rialto Unified School District as a whole during that time frame. You know, different upbringing. But again, and Nikki, if you can, because I know you said you're kind of multitasking. Who are some of your lifelong friendships? Who are you still, you know? And again, it doesn't have to go back to elementary. I mean, whatever your timeline is, but who are some folks that you can call out and say, hey, these have been my lifelong friends that I still cherish. Because again, that's conversations that a lot of people cannot have. You know, Charlie and I have talked about just people that we've known, people we care about, who can't necessarily understand how he and I could be friends after all of these years. You know,
Still,
there's
yeah,
something to
still.
be said about being friends with someone almost 50 years later. Something to be said about it. Now, Chuck, you and Vince, again, y'all met in kindergarten, first grade? Kindergarten?
Kindergarten.
So y'all have known each other 50 years.
Yes.
Do the math.
Yes.
That is basically your entire
Yeah,
life.
It
yeah.
That's profound. All of my life, I've known, like you said, Vince, you say it so well. I don't even know of a time when I didn't even know you.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time that I didn't know you.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't aware of
Mhm.
who Charles Red was.
Mhm.
I've always been aware
Absolutely.
of who Charles Red. I just have
Yeah.
been, you know.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Man.
And that they don't have that today. Like everybody's constantly on the move. You're doing, you're changing, you're moving out of state, you're doing all this. We parked. Our family's parked in Rialto, and that's where we were. From Morgan, Frisbee, Eisenhower, all the way up. I remember our goal, our dream was to play at Eisenhower.
Mhm.
I didn't even care about playing in the pro or doing that. I wanted to play at Eisenhower. I wanted a fancy Eisenhower Letterman jacket. And that's what we used to talk about 8,
Yes.
9 years old,
Yeah.
playing wiffle ball all summer. We
Yes.
can't wait till it's our turn to get to Eisenhower
Yeah.
and play.
Benny, I would have liked to see you with the Letterman stuff.
I would have too. I'm sure my father would have too. But you know,
I would have paid money to have seen you in the Letterman stuff.
well,
Just saying. Sister, you saying Ham Branch? Hey, that's a good one.
Mhm.
All right.
wow, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Right. Let's see. Okay, you said how do you unmute? Let me add you, sis. Hold on a second. I'm going to add you so that way you can join us too. Let me get you here, sis. I'm figuring all this out. If you all have not realized, I'm really trying to figure out how to do this whole thing. Again, you know this is very impromptu. There we go. I'm adding you right now, sis, so feel free to go ahead and jump on in. There we go.
Yeah.
There she is. Hey, beauty.
Good morning.
How are you? Morning. Did Vince talk like that? Look at Vince. Vince, Lord Jesus. What's going on, Sister Nikki?
How is everybody? I'm wonderful. I'm great. It's so, I happen to be, like I said, I'm hair washing and I'm getting ready to leave town for a conference. I'm going up to San Francisco. So I am definitely multitasking. So I just happened to be scrolling and I was like, wait a minute, they're on right now.
Yeah.
So
Look, I tell you, listen, when I tell you she sent me a message a couple of weeks ago, it's like, how did I miss you guys? I'm like, don't worry, we'll be back. We'll be back.
Yeah, it's so nice that you do this. You kind of are the glue keeping everybody connected, which is wonderful.
You know what? You told me that when I saw you, when we saw each other in Long Beach, right? For that reunion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Was that was that 20 years ago?
No, girl. No. That's been within
the small, yes. I was thinking of the big Ike.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. That was like, you're right. That was a few years ago.
Yeah, maybe
at the Lighthouse.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
But again, all of the same. Just so to go back to the topic, lifelong friendships. Thing that a lot of people can't say, especially the younger generations, can't necessarily say. And I shouldn't say that because somebody may look and say, "Hey, listen, I'm 20 and I've known somebody since I was 11," and for them that's lifelong. So I don't want to take that away from them. You know what I mean? But here we are in our 50s and specifically our mid 50s, saying we've known people since XYZ. We were just been talking about with Vince, with Greg. I'm sorry, Greg, we're talking about Chuck, with Vince, with Charlie. We've known each other since Morgan. I met Charlie in second grade, met Vince in second grade. Vince and Charlie have known each other since kindergarten. And we're still here.
Right.
And we're still friends. We're family. So just kind of give us what your thoughts are, on that topic.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were just, I guess every generation feels this way, I try to think about, the conversations I would hear with, my mom, and when we would go back to Georgia where she was born, and, I'd hear her chatting with her friends. And of course, I thought back then they were old ladies and they were probably in their 40s, I'm guessing. But but I realized, I'm like, wow, these are the same kind of conversations that I feel like I'm having now when I'm trying to explain to my daughters. I'm like, it was just so different.
Yeah.
And I think part of it too is, friendships, these today kids have such a wide circle of what they consider quote unquote friends. So with social media and just the notion of what is connection, I think it has to change it on a structural level. It's like they know so many people that they think that they know,
Yes.
that I don't think that their actual friendships are quite the same. But having said that, but they can find them. I mean, both of my girls are they're young, they're in college now, but one's a senior, one's a freshman, and they've been blessed that they have actually, found solid friend groups, which I love seeing, because I realize, okay, these are probably going to be the ones who are, hopefully with them for life.
Mhm.
You're going through all those milestones.
Mhm.
But for us, in the absence of social media and all those things, we had that, going out to play, meeting up at the skating rink, meeting at the mall, just all those things that we did to foster the friendships I think that we had in the 70s and 80s. So I was, like I said, Pam Branch is probably my most long-standing friend. I don't communicate with Liz Valentine. Do you guys remember Liz Valentine?
Of
Yes, I do.
course. Of course.
Liz Valentine, we go back to first grade,
Oh,
and we went to the same church, and so so we both went to an Episcopal church in San Bernardino. So I kind of saw her at school, and I saw her, at church, and we took piano lessons. She went way farther than I ever did with the piano, but we go back. I think that's the person who I've known the longest, because it was first grade, and but Pam Branch was fifth grade. I met LaShawn Williams in the eighth grade. And of course, we became best friends. And even though I don't see her as frequently as I would like to, I mean, we just pick up wherever we left off, whenever we do connect. So by the time I got to Eisenhower, that's when I kind of pulled in all of you people from from Frisbee and all the other spots.
Yep.
So Sonia Weaver, Kim Richardson, I'm trying to think, Michelle Mish, Darnisha. I'm just going back, but the people who I still kind of try to, stay in connection with, I guess most frequently, would be Pam, LaShawn, Sonia. In fact, Kim lost her father in December, and so that was kind of, I went to the core group and I was like, okay, guys, you need to know this. We need to rally around. And so I was in Rialto, I guess in January, because they had a service in January. So I went to Rialto to drop some food off at her mom's house, and just driving through, I was like, wow, I can't believe we grew up here. It feels so familiar but different. It's just so different when you go through the demographics are so different. And like somebody was saying, I don't know if it was Charlie who was speaking before, but just the notion of, I try to explain to my girls, I'm like, when I drive them through Rialto, I tell them I wish I took more pictures of the landscape, of the people. You don't know at the time when you're living history that that's going to be like in the past someday. But I'm like, I wish you all could see the Rialto that I grew up in. I mean, when there were just orange groves here and shops here. And I remember it was maybe about 15 years ago that I was driving by Eisenhower, and it was during the weekday. I'm not normally out there during the weekday, but it was during the weekday, because I remember school was letting out, and I mean, my jaw dropped, because I was like, the population of the kids was so different, and I just remember it being a very much more diverse space when we were there. There weren't that many of us, but there were enough of us, and there were enough of everybody else that it was a sprinkling of everybody. And I remember driving by Rialto, just sitting at the stoplight thinking, oh my gosh, this whole area is just, I don't know where all the white people went. I mean, but it's amazing to me that how much it has really changed. And I guess the change that it's brought to the whole, neighborhood and community. And, I see growth. I know, Joe Baca is doing big things. And when I drive and get off, I guess, what is it, Ayala? When you get off on Ayala and all those, stores and things that are there, I'm like, wow, it's really developing. But it's like, you just can't go back to what that once was, and the feeling of it. And And I don't know about you, but you know, especially I guess the resilience. I think we were being bred to be resilient and we didn't even know it.
Yes.
Because now I feel like there's so much attention and rightfully so. I'm an educator, so I really believe that, you know, schools have to enforce, you know, inclusivity and you know, being, you know, aware of everybody's differences or whatever. But on some levels, I'm like, there's just stuff that we just kind of learned to deal with, you know, and we didn't see it as anything that was really holding us back. And I kind of liken it to when my mother used to say, she would say this when I was growing up, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she would often say, you know, I grew up in a segregated school, but she said, I never felt less than anybody. She's like, my teachers poured into me, and we felt proud, and we felt she was, you know, from Savannah, Georgia. And
Mm-hmm.
she would always say things that like, you know, integration came around, and it was like, okay, but we didn't feel like we needed that. And so now on the flip side, I look at things and I'm like, so many of the things that are in place now to kind of help be sensitive. I'm like, I think we grew up, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we don't need more sensitivity because we absolutely do. But I feel like there was a certain inborn like resilience and just like when we get knocked down, you get back up. You don't need somebody to say, are you okay? We need to really talk to the person who knocked you down. And in fact, we didn't need all that. It seemed like we figured out you get up and you keep moving and you gain some strength. And I never felt that it hindered me in terms of my self-esteem or anything. It's just, I don't know, it's just like it's a whole different like, I know I'm jumping to a lot of different spaces here, but I'm just watching young people grow up and I'm like, ooh, wow, it is really a different
Mm-hmm.
structure. It is a whole different mentality of like, you know, just how people get along and lots of improvements, but lots of things that I question in terms of there was stuff that we just kind of got through and we're just fine. You know,
I
I don't know
think
if that makes sense,
I'm
but
sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off, sweetheart. I think one of the things that Chuck and I have talked about a lot, just personally speaking, and I know you could agree because you grew up in Rialto in that time frame. Rialto to us, I equate it to be like Mayberry. Um, 70s in Rialto was like Mayberry. No one
mm-hmm,
ever steal away my memory of Rialto in the 70s, the decade that was.
mm-hmm,
Never take it away from me. It was magical. It was special. The family, the friends, the neighbors, the neighborhoods, like you said, the smell of it, you know, all tangible to me in my
mm-hmm.
mother's memory. So although you've said to me, well, you know, Tanya, you kind of the person that kind of the glue. I appreciate that, but Chuck has called me the historian because I'm like it's so embedded in my muscle memory. It's tangible for me that I could remember it like yesterday. About the orange groves, I immediately think about Redlands. You know, even they're off of Baseline and Pepper between
Yep,
Pepper and Eucalyptus.
exactly. That's exactly where my mind goes, right
You know
there.
what I mean? All that orange groves over there before they built houses over there. That's just things that we remember.
Yeah.
Never forget. Um, but there's something very, very, very magical, and that's the word I like to use. And I say Mayberry because it was a magical place, and that's how it felt in the 70s. The 80s obviously changed, and a lot of things happened in the 80s. But
Mm-hmm.
there's something about the 70s in Rialto that I think that we all can say was very, very special, and it's very it's a memory that I never ever want to have leave. That's the best way for me to put it.
I
I always want to have
agree.
it with
I
me.
agree. It was the 70s. We moved there, I think when because I moved from New York, but I was really young. So we moved to Rialto probably in 75,
Mhm,
76.
mhm. Me,
And
yeah,
yeah,
me.
and it was the 70s. It was Alpha Beta and Thrifties and just little shops along that strip. Remember where Alpha Beta was? It was a movie. Y'all remember the movie
Yeah,
theater? The Anchored?
the twin. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the
Me and Chuck
Rialto
have many
Twin.
days. Yes.
And just the freedom of the safety. You know, the 70s was literally staying outside and playing with your friends, and it got dark and you would go in and but there was no sense of like fear or anything.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was magical in that sense.
Absolutely.
I pray
Chuck,
for
what were you
kids
saying?
who don't have that sense right now, because I know it's hard for any kid in any community to really feel that same sense of safety. But we were lucky, we were blessed to have had that.
Amen. What were we going to say, Chuck? I'm sorry.
No, I know it's about time for us to wrap it up, but I just wanted to comment on what Nikki said, which I knew it, but she articulated what I knew to be true and what I was trying to, even on the heels of Vinny's comment, us going to Morgan. What Nikki was saying, which I really truly believe, that we now as adults have to be taught those things that were natural to us growing up. I don't have diversity and inclusion. I don't have to be taught that.
Right.
Those things were natural to us. So we now are in a society where we have to now force, educate, teach those things, those skill sets that just came natural to us.
Yeah.
Because of our environment. So that's
Mm-hmm.
different. That's why we can have the honest conversations about race, etc. And other people like, what are you talking about? I can't. Why? How could you do that? That's because, my friends were white.
Mm-hmm.
My friends were black. My friends were Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my real friends, mi familia. Robert Sanchez was my family. So Mike Sanchez was my family. So again, we're Joe Baca family. So we don't have to have those type of Ray Torres, my fam. I mean, Ray took me. I was riding with Ray in his truck. So you're talking about people that now we have to sit back and we have to once again begin to educate and desensitize each other to things that were just natural to us. Mm-hmm. And that's actually is a shame to me. It really, really is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jason,
absolutely.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. The list can go on and on and on and on and on. So although technically you like to say we should have seen color, we really didn't. It wasn't something that was pronounced. You didn't really have to. Mm-hmm. And so when you go back to the very genesis of the conversation, when do friendships become family? It's hard to say because they've always been.
I mean, that's a mic drop right there, brother. Absolutely. And it's a good word for us to go ahead and at least in this month's version of the check-in. Again, with all of that being said, and I'm giving you that final kind of thought because sometimes you have a tendency your audio will go out. So, Sister Nikki, I absolutely appreciate you. I love you to death, and thank you for taking the time to jump in with us today. Again, like I said, we do this on a monthly basis. For the people that actually have jumped in and have been listening to us this entire time, again, thank you for joining us. Again, we'll do this on a monthly basis. We just check in. We like to check in with everybody. Anybody that came up on the camera today, Vince, I apologize I couldn't bring you back in, brother, but you know how we feel about you. We love you. Sister Misha, love you. Brother Randy Flowers, I know you said you're going to try to come back in, but we'll catch you next time. But Chuck, I want to give you the very, very, very last thought. You mentioned Ray Torres, and then bam, here goes Ray and DeRay. Hey, y'all, we love y'all too. Thank you for joining us. Give you the final word, brother, and then we're going to go ahead and sign off.
Again, the topic was very, very good today when you start talking about, friendships, relationships, how you define them, how long we've had them, the quality. We've talked about that. We've even talked about in terms of our upbringing and how that has impacted who we are today and how we see it. So again, it's just, one more opportunity to really realize just how blessed we really are, how blessed we really, really are. So I appreciate the check and thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great seeing you guys. I'll
Appreciate you so
try
much.
to pop in the next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, sis.
I'll try to tell the others. Tonya, if you let me know when it's scheduled, then I'll send up the bat signal to my little crew and tell them, all right, ladies, it's time to jump on. So
the one you need to tell that to is Chuck.
Hey, I'm in transition right now. Yeah, I'm in transition.
But again, I think that when we try to do this with a little bit more regularity, we will try to have a defined timeline. But this particular time, it just was kind of an ad hoc thing. And so forgive us for that in advance. But again, thank you so much for jumping on. So with that, everybody, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Again, we appreciate you. This has been the check-in, and we know we will see you again very soon.
Stay
All right.
safe, everyone.
All right.
You too. Love you.